lecture on module 3, fluid kinematics. We are going a little bit out of sequence in that this unit is covered, this module is covered in chapter 4 of the textbook, which we discussed before chapter 3. Okay, and in this unit we are going to look at, first of all, what is a velocity field. In the first module or the first lecture, we talked about what is velocity of a fluid if it is a collection of molecules, and then we just saw that the velocity at any given point at a given time is the average velocity of the molecules, is the average velocity of the individual molecules. Okay, and the understanding is that these n molecules, where n is a very large number, okay, these n molecules are typically in a volume such that the average is nice and smooth at that point, and that the average can be computed at every point in that space. So we use the velocity here to denote the velocity at a point whose coordinates is x, y, z at a given time t. Okay, if we have a flow, if we have, let's say, a pipe flow, or as another example, an open channel flow like the flow of a river. So if I draw the top view, let's say this is a river, you have the flow of water along the river, okay, or if you have a external flow. So this is what is called as an internal flow. It's internal to this tube. This is what is called as an open channel flow. Okay, and if we have a flow over a sphere, let's say this is a sphere, this is what we would call as an external flow. Okay, so if we think of the velocity of the fluid at any given point, let's say this is the velocity. You pick any point that you like. Pick the velocity at any point. You can denote the velocity as being associated with that point at that particular time. At that particular time. Okay. Now, if you choose another point here, you choose some other point, then obviously the velocity will be different. It's at a different point, which I can write as b at x dash, y dash, z dash at the same time or some other time. That is, while I am looking at this point, I can also look at this another point at the same time or at a later time or a different time. Okay, this velocity representation of the velocity of the fluid at all these points as a function of time is what we call as the velocity field. It is a representation of the fluid velocity as a function of space. The space is denoted with the Cartesian coordinates here, x, y, z, and time t. So the velocity field is a continuous function of position and time used to denote the velocity. Okay. Now, if you think about the velocity, or if you think about a flow, there are two ways to look at the flow. There is two ways to observe the flow. One is as an external observer. What I mean by that is, if I can make some space here. There are two ways to observe a flow. As an external observer, as being or moving along with the fluid. What do I mean by that? Now suppose if you take the example of the river, suppose you are standing, let's say, on the banks. So here is the observer. The observer is standing on the banks and observing a specific point in space. Suppose we focus our attention to this point in space or this point on the river. Let's say we focus only on this. We are just gazing at this area of the river. Now, what is of interest to us is we are interested only in the water that flows through this volume. Okay, I said area, but what it really is, a volume. Okay, let's say we choose a volume here. We focus our attention only on the volume of the fluid that is going through this volume at a given time. That is, we just focus our attention to a specific volume in space. If this classroom were filled with students like it usually used to be, what we will have is, I am here standing as an instructor talking to a class full of students who are here at this time, at this point of time. I wouldn't talk to students who are going on the road or elsewhere. My attention is exclusively for the students who are here in this space at this time. I am interested only in the people who come into this volume and not interested in the people that are outside this volume. Same way, we are focusing our attention only through the fluid that goes through this volume at a given time. So at any given time, we are interested in monitoring, let's say, the velocity component. Let's say I plot one particular component of the velocity of the fluid that is residing inside this volume. So that can go up, that can come down, it can be constant, whatever. I am interested only in this volume. This volume is sometimes called the control volume. That is, I am choosing a control. Control means something that you are controlling or you are designating it to be standardized. I am choosing a control volume and I am monitoring the velocity of the fluid that goes through this volume only, and what happens outside this volume is not my consideration, it's not my bother. Okay? So this approach where you focus the approach in which one focuses the attention on a specific volume that is localized to a particular coordinate the approach in which one focuses the attention on a specific volume that is localized to a particular coordinate and we perform analysis such as mass, momentum, energy balance on the fluid that resides in that specific volume, specific or control volume at that time. The approach in which one focuses the attention on a specific volume that is localized to a particular coordinate. That is, I am interested in this location and perform analysis of mass, momentum, energy balance on the fluid that resides within this volume. I am interested only in this packet of fluid here, resides in that control volume at that time. This analysis is what is called as the Eulerian approach. That is, I am not interested in all of the fluid at all times. I am interested only in the fluid that passes through this volume as a function of time. Now, I picked this volume. I produced a plot of the fluid's x component of velocity in this volume as a function of time. I can produce this time series. Let's say I put a velocity probe here. I read out the velocity and I print it or I plot it. I get the x component of the velocity as a function of time. Now, the choice of my volume, the location for my volume, is somewhat arbitrary. I could have chosen this volume anywhere in space. I can choose this volume, I can choose the adjacent volume, I can choose any volume. So, in principle, if we had the ability, we can produce the velocity as a function of time for every point in space. That's what we meant by velocity field, in that you can produce the velocity as a function of time for every point in space. And suppose you have a way to measure or calculate that velocity at many points in space or throughout the domain of your interest. Like if you are trying to understand this river flow, this entire river is your domain. If you are trying to understand this pipe flow, the entire pipe is your domain. If you are trying to understand this external flow, the flow or the region that is reasonably affected by the sphere, that's your domain. So you can produce a velocity for the entire domain, and that's what would be called as the velocity field. And specifying the velocity field for the entire domain is called the Eulerian approach of fluid flow. It's the Eulerian approach. Okay. Now you can also do this with a different perspective. That is, the Eulerian approach is like a laboratory perspective. Something is happening at a distance, you are observing it from outside. If the fluid flow is happening over there, I am observing it as an external observer, so that I get one bird's eye view of the entire fluid domain. I know everything about the fluid domain at every part of the domain, either through measurement or through calculation. The other way to do this is for you to be in where the action happens. So this is like the difference between playing a sport, watching it on TV. As an external observer, you can watch what all the players are doing, but if you are in there playing the game, suppose you are the pitcher, you can only see what the batter is doing. You can only take your pitch and deliver it, but you cannot know what the outfieldsman is doing or what the other runners are doing. Exactly, the Eulerian point of view allows you to observe the entire flow field as a function of space and time. The other point of view is, suppose you are the fluid. Suppose you are a packet of fluid. You designate yourself. Let's say I have a pipe here, and I designate a parcel of fluid. Okay, I designate a parcel of fluid, and let's say I tag them with a different color. That is, there is flow going everywhere. The flow that enters this particular volume, you have a pipe flow. Okay, let's say I designate a certain cross section. I have some kind of an instrument here that tags all the molecules that passes through only this little piece of the tube. Or you have the entire cross section. I choose one part of the cross section. Whatever passes through that cross section, I tag them so that I set of particles. We are just seeing how this group moves along as they go through the domain. An example would be, suppose you are the class of 2020 or 2021. You have an alumni network that tracks what each of you are doing 10 years from now. I am an instructor who teaches fluid mechanics to students who show up in this room year after year. So that would make my approach like an Eulerian approach. Once you are outside this room, I don't care about you. But if you are part of the alumni network, what they do is they know that each of you who graduated in this year, they tag you and they track your progress or your career developments as a function of time even after you leave this room or leave this university. So they tag these molecules and try to find out what happens. So initially if the shape is somewhat like a cubical element, as time goes on, let's say this cube gets stretched out, the molecules are more spread out, and as time goes on, let's say they deform even more. Okay, that is, we are not interested in the whole of space, we are not interested in all the fluid molecules, we are interested in specifically what a group of molecules are doing, and you just tag all of them. Suppose these are, let's say, n molecules tagged from 1 to n, 1, 2, 3, n, 1, 2, 3, n. We want to know where are all the n molecules, or where is the boundary of that volume that encompasses all the n molecules, or how is that fluid element stretching and twisting and elongating. That tracking a group of designated particles moving along with the fluid, tracking I'll write the approach in which one tags or marks a group of fluid particles, fluid molecules that make up a fluid particle Once you tag a group of molecules, call them a fluid particles, the motion and deformation of this fluid particle. This fluid particle is basically a set of people who have some associating characteristics. Like you just call a group a particle and you just observe their whereabouts as they go through the flow. Okay, the motion and deformation of this fluid particle is tracked as a function of time and space. Now, to give you an extreme example, if you take a block of solid, okay, and you pick a bunch of molecules and call them a particle, you call this a particle. What happens as a function of time? That is, these solid particles, or this particle consisting of solid molecules, they are not going to move away because that's what makes them a solid. A fluid, so the shape of this particle is more or less the same as a function of time, except maybe when you apply load and compress it or deform it, the shape may become from this to something that's a little narrow. The shape may change slightly. This is an extreme example for a solid. For a fluid being what it is, it can change shape easily. The fluid element that was initially like a square or a cube can deform very much depending on what's going on in the flow, and the shape of that fluid particle changes with time and space as the sediment goes through the flow. This approach is what is called as the Lagrangian approach. Lagrangian approach of fluid flow. Okay, and this fluid particle, a group of molecules that you tag them and call them as one bunch, we call that fluid particle as a control system. Control volume is that you designate a specific volume and observe what goes through that volume. Control system is that you designate a group and you track that system. You track that system as a function of time and space. That is the Lagrangian approach. Okay? So Euler and Lagrange obviously were the people who were behind this school of thought. One of them, Euler, developed the equations to describe the behavior of fluids for an entire field, whereas Lagrange developed approaches to describe the velocity of a fluid particle. So in his case, we use velocity of a particle x, y, z, t. Here is the big difference. The Eulerian velocity field represents the velocity of the fluid as a function of space and time. The Lagrangian velocity represents the velocity of a fluid particle at a given point and given time. Okay, please see this statement as I made it in loop to understand. I'll repeat. The Eulerian velocity is the velocity of the fluid at a given point and time. Okay, as a function of space. You can define it at all the points in the fluid domain. The Lagrangian velocity is the velocity of the fluid particle at a given point and given time. It's not for the entire flow field, it's for a given fluid particles and all the molecules that make up that particle. Okay, that's the big difference between Eulerian and Lagrangian fluid flow, Lagrangian description of fluid flow. Now, where are these used? The most commonly used is the Eulerian point of view, is the Eulerian description of fluid flow. Because we always want to know the global picture, we want to know the properties of the flow for the entire flow, not just in one point. The Lagrangian point of view is used for some special cases, especially to track droplets or bubbles or solid particles